Just spotted something interesting here. It's stoneware. It's a bit wedged in, so we'll dig round it a little bit and see what pops up in here. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I'm not exactly sure. I thought it was the lip of a bottle. It probably still is the lip of a bottle. I'll have to wash it off and see. But an interesting form. We will do more research on that and see what that is. So much nice stuff this morning that I'm having to recharge my phone because I've already got a low battery. Putting some sort of liquid with various ingredients on it, which sort of branches out into these tree patterns or seaweed patterns, often with a yellow glaze, mid-Victorian, but I do like this stuff, so it's nice to find a good chunk of it. What a beautiful shard. It's got a mottled glaze to it. Probably late 18th, early 19th century. But that is a very beautiful little thing. I just pulled this out of the mud. It's very muddy here and it's difficult to tell what some things are. And it was just the edge of something, but actually it's a fascinating find. It's a trivet from a pottery kiln. So you would place those on a plate and you'd have 3 little points there which would leave 3 distinctive points on the plate when it was fired, and stacked between them so they wouldn't get stuck together in the kiln. So here is a bit of industrial history, pottery manufacture. There must have been a pottery in the area somewhere. I have to do some research and see if I can work out what age it is, but that's a very nice find. I'm very happy with that. Also in the same area there's a lot of this yellowish, some very crumbly sort of pottery, and I think they might be pottery saggers, used to support plates and protect them and items in the kiln. It's got a bit of glaze there which dribbled onto it, so it might be. I've found this before in other areas, and quite often the Delft manufacturers use these sort of pottery saggers, but this area is full of bits of yellowish lumps of clay, so that might be what we're looking at here, which is very exciting. Yeah, so in this area there are lots and lots of Delftware, tin glazed earthenware fragments, so I'm sure this is a dump from a Delftware pot house. I'll have to do some research and find out if there's one nearby. Certainly there's one well known in Rotherhithe, but I wasn't expecting to find one on the north bank of the river because a lot of the Delftware manufacturers on the south side, Suffolk, Rotherhithe. There's another little bit there with some blue painted band on it. So all these very nice finds, very happy with these. Just the edge of something, looks like the edge of a Victorian stoneware pot. So we'll see how much of it is there. So far so good. Might be an ink or a blacking pot perhaps. Although sadly not complete. I'll just wash that off and see. what it looks like. Yeah, it's probably the base of a blacking pot, Victorian. They made millions of these, so you do find lots of fragments and some complete ones sometimes. Here are loads of bits in blue and white. I found a lot of blue and white today. I haven't filmed all of it. Most of it to be transfer printed, so that runs through from Georgian right through Victorian period, and obviously it's still made today. I guess a lot of this stuff is Victorian. That one might be porcelain rather than earthenware, which is nice. Some fairly big bits as well. Chinese influence. That one's nice because it's got a mark on the base, I noticed. Staffordshire ironstone, I think that says. A nice waterfall coming out of here, heading off down the foreshore. Another thing to be aware of if you are going to try this and come down and do some mudlarking, don't forget you need a licence of course, but make sure you know where your exit routes are off the foreshore so you don't get stuck at high tide when tide comes in. These steps aren't much use for getting off the foreshore, so always be aware and make sure you have your escape route. Mine is over here, so I've still got plenty of time. The tide is coming in now, so I won't be too much longer here, I don't think. But I had a very nice day, very happy with what I found so far. This little metal thing here, I believe, is to hold up part of your corset. So a very important bit of Victorian wardrobe. And there's another big bit of pottery here. Oh, that is well stuck in. I'm just going to dig that out. So doing a little bit of digging here to try and get this out. Oh, it seems to be a Chinese mark on the base, which is a good sign. So I guess it's probably porcelain, we can find out. Just met a lovely lady called Deborah, so hi Deborah, and happy hunting. Let's see if we can get this bowl out without damaging it at all. That'd be good. Oh, there we go. Right, the big reveal. There's a lot of it, so that's nice. Oh, well, that's very nice, isn't it? Needs a good wash, but there is some blue decoration there and a Chinese mark, whether it's really Chinese or whether it's copied. Nothing on the inside, but that's very nice, isn't it? Yeah, so wash that off and then I'll post a better picture of it later. What's this under here? A shell. I've just picked up this. It's another little bag seal. Difficult to focus on, it's so small. There are some letters on it, but I can't read what they are. So it's lead, it's attached to merchandise. I think I'll have to put up a photograph of it because it's not focusing very well. And it doesn't take an expert to see that Soane and Smith, 200 Oxford Road, London. Ah, nothing on the other side at all, never mind. Probably a retailer rather than a maker in this case. Victorian. This is the base of a Delftware plate or platter, and there's always the hope when you turn it over that there'll be some decoration on the other side, and there is. Some interesting blue painted decoration with some lines. Not really much of an idea what the larger design would be, but we might be able to look it up in a book and see if we can find a parallel. Nice though, so that'd be normal tin glazed earthenware, 1650 to 1770, that sort of time frame in London's history. Another humble little shard, but this is really nice because it is sponged decoration, so it's spongeware, which is very, very common in Victorian times. Lots of everyday pottery. I guess this is part of a mug, maybe. But obviously, you know, they sponged on decoration and very, very much used by everyday folk for their everyday pottery. A lot of it made in Scotland, so you don't see it very often down here, but here's a bit on the Thames foreshore right away. Now very collectible, as usual, with all the everyday stuff that was thrown away and wasn't very expensive at the time, now is very expensive. Another day, another Delft, you could say. So there's another bit of tin glazed earthenware here, buff coloured clay with a very degraded tin glaze, and on the other side nothing at all, just a tiny bit of glaze left on that. That's the trouble, it does flake off very easily. And just noticed here a button. Let's have a look. Yeah, it might actually be bone. I'm sure it's handmade. I don't think it's plastic, a modern one, so it's an old one, but we like that. Pagoda, I guess. Oh, decorated inside as well. Curious bit of pottery. Looks like the glaze has been completely overcooked. Very unusual. Little white transfer printed, post-medieval redware. Another bit of coral, which is quite nice, isn't it? in here, I've just spotted a piece of slipware. That's quite nice. Some of the slipware has worn off the surface, but still that's if it's metropolitan or sort of slipware made in Harlow in Essex, that might even be 17th to early 18th century, so that could be the oldest bit of pottery we found today. It's a nice piece of slipware for a rim of a vessel, plate. Always room for another bit of glaze, tin glazed earthenware, Delft, and that's got some lovely decoration painted on it in blue, cobalt on the white tin glaze. Maybe Chinese style grasses, Chinese grass, not sure. This piece may be small, but it is perfectly formed. I'm sure this is scratch blue, so the stoneware, and it is the design on this sort of flower pattern is incised onto the surface and filled with cobalt, and it's sort of Staffordshire's answer to Vestavalt, really, so it's quite a cheap and cheerful design of pottery, and was made in the 18th century, about 1720 to 1760, I think, maybe 1770, a bit later. I have to look that up, can't remember off the top of my head, but that's nice to find that there. Now, I think this is a shoe, a leather shoe, no idea how old it is, probably not that old. But it's a very interesting design there. I don't know if that is a shoe or a bit of a horse harness. Quite a big bit of plate there. Classic willow pattern style Victorian plate. How many millions of these were made and used and broken? Another little fragment of mark on a transfer printed shard there. Maybe Foreman, Seaton? Not sure. We'll find out if we can do some research on them. One for the Brick of the Day Facebook site, and yes, it does exist. Preston Grange, this brick was made at. Just turned over this massive fragment of stoneware pot, and there's a leech living on it, so I think we'll leave him be. I won't disturb him in case he sucks my blood. One of the other little known dangers of the Thames, I suppose. I just picked up this, presumably a jug base, just to, excuse me, illustrate the difference between creamware and pearlware. So you notice there's a pooling of blue around the base edge there, and that's caused by cobalt, which was added to the glaze to make it more brilliant white. More pearl-like, more like porcelain, I suppose, and that you find from about 1780 to about 1830, and it's known as pearlware. Nothing much else left of it, sadly, but an interesting item.